Hey guys, it's time for another random review. This week we're taking on fellow YouTuber James Rolfe, aka The Nerd, with the Angry Video Game Nerd the Movie. Now before we get started with the review, a little history on the project. James and his fellow writing-directing partner Kevin Finn wrote the script all the way back in 2008. In 2012 they used the crowdfunding site Indiegogo to raise the $75,000 budget for the film, but they actually ended up with over $325,000 in total, which is pretty damn impressive and shows they have a great fan base. Hell, I'm one of them. I've been watching the Nerd's videos since the Ninja Turtles episode way back in 2006, and I've enjoyed the over 100 episodes he's produced. The DVDs, well, they get a regular spin out here. So I was excited about the prospect of the Nerd getting his own feature, but since I live in Australia, I had to wait for the video on demand, and I grabbed it the first day it was out. Now the question is it any good? I really want to be polite here because I love James as a filmmaker and the Nerd character, and I really don't want to get hated on, but the film itself, honestly, it's a bit underwhelming. I can see how seeing this on a big screen in a packed movie theater full of Nerd fans would sway you into thinking that it's better than it is, but for me sitting on my couch at home as a sole viewer, it left a lot to be desired. But let's talk about what did work first, because there's plenty in this film that did. The entire framing device about the ET cartridge, its sequel, and the hunt for the truth about the landfill, it works great. It's engaging, and I genuinely wanted to know how it would end. The nods to games and movies, in particular the Ninja Turtles 3 and the Back to the Future nods, were great. But the times in which the movie shines the most are the quieter moments between the characters. It injects a great deal of warmth into the film. So what didn't work for me? Now, just be clear, this is only my opinion, guys. The movie basically splits into too many threads in the third act, and it kind of falls apart. When it does finally come together, you wish they cut about 15 minutes out. The effects in the film are extremely scattershot. The use of practical effects were great. I love that retro Godzilla style stuff. It was the random green screen elements that started to get to me actually. There's a scene in which a crowd is gathering at the landfill, and for some reason, I guess they couldn't be there or it was an afterthought, Kyle, Justin and Mike Mattea comped into the shot sitting in a tent, and it looks really fake and takes you out of the moment completely. What I'm saying is, when the effects are supposed to be cheesy and over the top, they look fantastic. When they're actually trying to make them look seamless, it doesn't really work. And while we're on effects, the alien. I'm sorry guys, it looks terrible. Not even in a cheesy B-movie way. I just couldn't get over how cheap it looked. I love the fact that they got Robbie Riss from Ninja Turtles to supply the voice, and that's amazing. But I heard they had to rush the design for the shoot because of copyright reasons, but that thing, it looked awful. The acting in this film is all over the place too, but that's to be expected in this sort of film where there's not everyone, professional actors. But it sometimes distracts when it's so over the top. Even James himself isn't immune. In the first act, he reenacts some of his famous quotes from the Nerd, and he just doesn't attack it with the same tenacity as his earlier videos, and it comes off a bit flat. The dialogue can also be a bit hit and miss at times. There's this joke about a bologna sandwich that comes out of nowhere and it just sort of sits there. And it's not funny. Now a lot of these flaws can be written off with the "it's so bad it's good" or B-movie tag, but that's not an excuse to keep in material that doesn't work. Overall, this is a film from someone who has a great fan base, and he's made a movie that's practically a love letter to them, his love of video games and his love of B-movies. But by incorporating far too many elements, it undermines a much better film that I know's in there somewhere. The Angry Video Game Movie gets 2.5 stars from me. That said, if I had seen this in a theater full of Nerd fans, it would easily get a 3.5. So if you're gonna see it, grab your friends, grab a whole bunch of snacks, and enjoy it for what it is. It's a silly, fun movie. So what did you think of the AVGN movie? Let me know in the comments or on my Twitter. If you have a movie you want me to review, old or new, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, right there. And I'll see you next time for another random review.